there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports on Spreaker. You can also find this and all other episodes of Taylor's Detroit Sports on iHeartRadio. Straight and full Detroit and Michigan sports coverage 100% of the time. If you have any opinions on everything that's going on in the Detroit sports world, call in or send a text message live on the show at 231-429-3668. Also, you can add me on Facebook as Taylor Phillips, online at facebook.com/TaylorGatorPhillips14. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. Join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. And follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips with 2 L's.
And this is episode 131 on Spreaker. You can also check out my new website, taylorsdetroitsports.com, on Weebly. Got a lot of stuff to catch up to. First off, let's start off with the Red Wings. They've won 5 straight, including a 5-4 win in a 2-0 shootout against the Minnesota Wild at Joe Louis Arena. They blew a 4-1 lead after two. They were leading 4-1 after 2 periods, and then it was tied. I saw the third period. I listened to the first 2 periods last Tuesday. Third period, I was furious. And it was mostly because of the way Jonathan Ericsson has played, and he has played horribly. If you Red Wing fans don't see it and still think Jonathan Ericsson's good, then you're not watching the games clearly. I wrote a blog about it. I published a blog about it, about Jonathan Ericsson's pathetic play. It said Jonathan Ericsson must be shipped away from the Wings, period. The way I have seen Detroit Red Wings defenseman Jonathan Ericsson has played thus far this entire 2014-2015 NHL season is very irritating. I wrote that myself, actually. The Wings reap what they sow on their part through this point. The way he has turned the puck over and fallen asleep in his own defensive zone all season long, and it has been all season, is very disgusting and extremely difficult to watch. And it keeps proving costly to his team. In spite of the Wings having a better season than they have the past 5 seasons, and they truly have, they have allowed more than plenty of goals against them because of Ericsson's total and complete such incompetence on the ice. Not only does he turn the puck over too many times in his own defensive zone, but he also just stands there and doesn't do a thing to help his team block opposing shots and fend off opposing scoring chances. He also turns away from the opposing attacker who has the puck, leaving him wide open for a shot on goal and a goal. Recently, he cost the Wings a 4-1 lead through 2 periods in large part. First, when it was 4-2, Ericsson ditched the former Buffalo Sabre Thomas Vanek and allowed him to, by turning away from him when Vanek had the puck, and allowed him to score Minnesota's 3rd goal of the night, making it 4-3 Red Wings. Then he simply gave the puck away to wild forward Zach Parise, the former New Jersey Devil, and left him alone scoring on Peter Mrazek. It's not Mrazek's fault at all. To tie the game at 4 with 6:39 left in regulation. Now, earlier this season, I saw him stand there and let the Leafs score on Jimmy Howard in Toronto at one point, and the Wings lost badly in that game. And I've also seen Ericsson keep doing the same thing and turn the puck over to cost his team goals about the same way throughout this entire season thus far. That turnover to Zach Parise was the worst ever, and I believe that was a sign of Ericsson getting even worse as a defenseman. He should not be in the top 4 defensemen on the Red Wings roster, and he shouldn't even be on this Red Wings team at all. The way Ericsson turned away from Vanek, that was another sign of him getting worse. Those are the two worst mistakes that Ericsson has ever made in his entire hockey career. And his turnover to Zach Parise, he could have just he could have just cleared the puck up the boards instead of up the middle where Zach Parise was, and he gave it right to Parise. And Ericsson tried upending him, but no dice. Parise still had the puck. Shot and a save by Mrazek. Rebound. Parise scored. There was no chance for Mrazek to keep that lead. There was almost no chance for Mrazek to keep that lead. Wow. I've also seen Ericsson keep doing the same thing and turn the puck over to cost his team goals against about the same way throughout this entire season thus far. Goaltending is not the issue here. It's the sloppy defensive play, courtesy in large part of Johnny Rotten Appleseed Ericsson. His 2 goals and 7 assists, 9 points this season don't cut it for his defense at all. Hey, he got a goal that game. Kudos to him. He has a wicked slap shot. He's got a wicked slap shot, but had a little something to prove, but I don't think it's going to cut it. He should never play for the Red Wings again. Not any time through this point. His age, which is 30, doesn't cut it either. And he's not too young anymore either. And he's under contract too for 5-6 years, $26.5 million or so. Hey, that's still a tradable contract, but it's a waste of money if he keeps playing like that. If he keeps playing like that and costing the Red Wings goals against, whether they win or lose, it's time for the Red Wings to waive him and trade somebody else for a better defenseman. Trade Dan Cleary for Keith Yandle. trade Brian Lashoff for Keith Yandle. Or get Brian Lashoff to play again. Because the rest of the Red Wings players, the rest of the players on this Red Wings roster thus far, excluding the goaltenders, have played a lot better than Jonathan Ericsson has. The Wings need to either waive him and save all the rest of his contract payroll the same way the Pistons waived Josh Smith before they won 12 out of their last 15 games. I'll get to that soon in this podcast. Or the Wings can trade Ericsson and his waste of a 5-6-year contract for a more consistent defenseman elsewhere in the NHL, such as Keith Yandle from the Arizona Coyotes, Tyler Myers from the Buffalo Sabres, or Ryan Suter for the Minnesota Wild. Keith Yandle would be the best option. Not only does Yandle play a lot more consistently, he can also score and rack up points. Why wait until the trade deadline? I know the Wings are still on a winning streak, but Ericsson is still a major virus causing the Wings to blow third-period leads. Third-period leads like they did earlier tonight at Joe Louis Arena. I am absolutely done with Ericsson being on this team and causing them all the trouble, and so are most of you Red Wings fans. Sometimes in this case especially, you shouldn't even care if they win in a shootout, for example. You should be irritated with the way Ericsson has played and know that he's getting worse. Spare us and the entire franchise the time, Ericsson. Please and thank you. Good night. Now let me get to my Red Wing All-Stars. Gustav Nyquist and Tomas Tatar are two of them. The two best All-Stars of mine for this Red Wings team. Tatar has 21 goals and 13 assists, 34 points total in just 48 games. Look at the roster here. First I got fast here. One more group here. Okay, there we go. Tomas Tatar has a +5. He's got 20 penalty minutes. That's still not too many. 6 power play goals, 5 game winners, 120 shots on goal, shooting percentage 17.5. I love the way that Tomas Tatar is moving the puck, the way he stick handles it, the way he dekes it. It's almost like Pavel. It's almost Pavel it's almost Datsyukian dekes I'm talking about here. He's very young but very skilled. Bleacher Report has an article that chooses alternate All-Stars for the Wings. Tomas Tatar is the first of them. The speedy Czech Republican has really broken out offensively, and it's safe to say that no one saw this coming. He has definitely been one of the better Red Wings this year, and he could have been an all-star with a few more goals and points. This slideshow is written and published by Tom Ertz Jr., URTZ. There are 4 of them listed, including Tatar and Nyquist. Next is Henrik Zetterberg. The Red Wings captain has played solid hockey this season, and he should have been made an all-star. The healthy veteran winger has 14 goals and 30 assists for 44 points thus far, and he's on pace to have his best season since 2011. Zetterberg has a fun personality, is a great player, and just seems like the type of person the NHL would love to showcase during All-Star Weekend. And of course, Pavel Datsyuk is next. The Magic Man has been a key performer this season, and he hasn't slowed down despite turning 36 over the summer. That's his age. It's not that old. It's not too old. Datsyuk has 15 goals and 20 assists and 35 points in 37 games, including 6 power play tallies. He clearly has the requisite statistics, and he would have added a little bit extra to the puck control and breakaway challenge portions of the skills competition. Depriving the fans of his awesomeness is simply treasonous and goes against the spirit of All-Star Weekend. And finally, Gustav Nyquist. He was the Red Wings' savior last season. And he's played very well in 2014-2015. The Swedish sniper is second in goals with 19 and 17 assists for 36. So he has 36 points total to date. While he may not have offensive numbers that are high enough to usurp other participants, he would be a treat to watch during the skills competition, especially the breakaway challenge. Nyquist is a solid player with a bright future, and there is no doubt that he will be an all-star very soon. The two of the four Red Wings that I would have picked to make it to the All-Star game this year were Nyquist and Tatar. They're young, but I think they had enough to join, and they still could be at it. There's still time. Oh wait, it's Friday. The All-Star festivities have already begun. But injuries could happen. But hopefully during the All-Star break, the Red Wings dump Jonathan Ericsson. Period. Ericsson is from Karlskrona, Sweden. He was born in 1984, the same year I'm born. On March 2nd, I'm April 13th. He was drafted in 2002. The 9th round, 291st overall. Ouch. That could be another problem there. Ericsson was a -1 the last game at the Joe. He had a goal, but also served 2 minutes in the penalty box. Got only one shot. The Red Wings have assigned Teemu Pulkkinen to the Grand Rapids Griffins, so he can join the AHL All-Star game. He and his Griffins just beat UTI something. The Utica Comets. The Grand Rapids Griffins beat the Utica Comets. The Grand Rapids Griffins beat the Utica Comets. The Grand Rapids Griffins beat the Utica Comets 5-1 at Van Andel Arena. Zengelray, Callahan, Tiverdon, Nosek with 2 goals, both of them in the third period. Jeffrey for the Comets. Griffins finished 1 for 5. They outshot the Comets 37-30. Griffins led 1-0 after one period. It was tied at 1 after 2 periods. Then the Griffins scored four unanswered to pull away with a 5-1 victory. Now let's get to the Pistons. They've won 12 out of their last 15 after waiving Josh Smith. Their last win came at the Palace, 128-118 over the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks. Brandon Jennings, of all people, came up with a huge double-double. "24 points and 21 assists. The Knicks started on a 7-0, on like an 11-0 run. That came after the Pistons lose. That came after they lost 93-82 in Atlanta on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The Hawks are the best team in the East. They were playing the Magic last Wednesday, not the Knicks. They were playing the Orlando Magic. I stand corrected. Pardon me. Yep, 24 points, 21 assists. First Piston to go 20-20 since April 4th, 1985, when Isaiah Thomas reached that plateau. Pistons gave up 70 points in the second half, 32 of them in the paint. The Magic started the fourth quarter on a 12-0 run. Andre Drummond also had another double-double like he almost always does. Drummond's a beast, as we all know. Pistons have a tougher schedule, I've been told. They're in Toronto. They're in Milwaukee tomorrow at 7:30, and then in Toronto Sunday at 7. And the Cavaliers come into the Palace Tuesday at 7:30. The Pistons visit the 76ers Wednesday at 7. Then next Saturday, they return home to welcome their former teammate Josh Smith and the Houston Rockets on January 31st on Saturday at 7:30. Then the Heat come into the Palace. The Heat come into the Palace Tuesday, February 3rd to kick off the month of February, 7:30 tip-off time. Then the Pacers in Indianapolis, Indiana, Wednesday the 4th. Then they play the Nuggets on Friday at home at 7:30 on the 6th. The Timberwolves Sunday the 8th at 6. Charlotte Hornets the 10th at 7 away. Then the defending champion San Antonio Spurs come into the Palace at 7:30 on Wednesday, February 11th. And that'll be the last game before the NBA All-Star break. And the Pistons will have off until Friday, February 20th, when they welcome in the Chicago Bulls to the Palace of Auburn Hills, 7:30 tip-off time. Then they welcome in the Washington Wizards February 22nd at 3:30, a late matinee game. That is on George Washington's birthday. Then the Cavaliers come to the Palace again on the 24th at 7:30 on a Tuesday. Then the Pistons welcome in the Knicks on the 27th on Friday, 7:30. Then they play the Wizards again in Washington on the last day of February, 28th at 7. A few of those upcoming games are tough, but I think the Pistons will do just fine. Let's go ahead and skip to the Tigers. I don't have much time left in this podcast. 11 and a half minutes to go. If you want to chime in, call or text 231-429-3668. That is 231-429-3668. Call or text. If you text, please give out your name and town and state. The Tigers recently lost Max Scherzer to the Washington Nationals. Scherzer signed a 7-year deal with the Nats worth $210 million. First it was $180. Then they rose it up to $210. And that was a devastating loss to the Tigers' starting pitching rotation. First they traded Porcello to the Boston Red Sox for Jonas Cespedes and a relief pitcher, Alex Wilson. And the Tigers were not surprised by it. And what do you think are the chances of the Tigers in 2015 without Max Scherzer. But before you do that, I want you to read this. Justin Verlander was hitting the gym recently and gained 20 pounds of muscle. And he told the media, quote, "I feel better than I have in 3 or 4 years. I had no issues starting to warm up. The ball's coming out of my hands as good as it has in a while. I'm excited to start throwing off the mound. I'm excited to get to spring training, see how it feels against hitters. I'm genuinely excited," quote unquote. Then he also said about his core muscle surgery, quote, "It didn't hurt. I never made any excuses, and I'm not making excuses now. I'm just telling you guys the facts and how it was explained to me. It didn't hurt, and whether it robbed me of some power, control, all the above, maybe. I was out there pitching. I needed to do that. I wish I was better. I wasn't. Nothing I could do about it now, except improve," quote unquote. He started long tossing the ball just before New Year's, about the time he hurt himself a year earlier. He said, quote unquote, "Well, at this point last year, after the surgery, I was 210 pounds. I was skinny. I'm 230, 236 pounds now," unquote. And he said the doctors, quote unquote, "did an assessment on me. They were shocked that I pitched, honestly. They were shocked that I was able to pitch and did not hurt myself. Everything, my range of motion was horrible. I was stuck. My hips were jacked up. I had no mobility in my body whatsoever. It was funny the first thing. I sat down with a couple of them. I'm sitting down addressing my surgery, telling them everything that happened. 2 of the therapists I talked to said, 'Does your shoulder bother you?' They didn't know anything about pitching. They just know the body." I was like, funny enough, I missed the first start of my career. And yeah, it bothered me. They were like, "It doesn't surprise me at all," unquote. But now that Verlander is feeling a lot better, he is on pace to actually improve a lot better than he has been the past 3 or 4 years. Like he said, Verlander might even have a Cy Young season in 2015. Moving on to CMU football, the Chippewas have lost their head coach Dan Enos, who resigned and became the new offensive coordinator for the Arkansas Razorbacks, which left them in search of a new head coach. I have a paper right here that lists the possibilities of a next head coach. Next on the sideline, written by Mark Snyder of the Detroit Free Press. First one, Zach Azzani, Tennessee wide receivers coach, a CMU alum. He was Butch Jones' wide receivers coach at CMU in 2007. 2007-2009, when CMU won two Mid-American Conference championships and set records on offense, then later rejoined Jones at Tennessee in 2013. Number 2, Mike Bajakian, former Tennessee offensive coordinator. Bajakian is another Jones assistant. In fact, he has worked as Jones' offensive coordinator since 2007 at CMU, Cincinnati, and Tennessee with success, but Bajakian reportedly is going to the Buccaneers to be quarterbacks coach under Lovie Smith. So he's out of the question. Brady Hoke, interesting, former Michigan coach, don't laugh, if he was inclined to move on to a new job this season. Hoke, at age 56, would be a solid fit in Mount Pleasant. In his first head coaching stint, Hoke led Ball State, a fellow Max school, to a 12-1 record in 2008. Hoke also turned around San Diego State in 2009-2010 before coming to Michigan in 2011. Tony Annese, Ferris State head coach. You might not have heard of Annese if you don't follow high school or Division II football, but Annese, at 53, for the Bulldogs, has a long history of success in this state. He just led the Bulldogs to an 11-1 season, including an 11-0 regular season, in which his quarterback Jason Vanderlaan won the Harlan Hill Trophy, the Division II version of the Heisman. 3 minutes left. Mose Risen, Central Michigan wide receivers coach. Risen could be considered because of his deep CMU ties. The 58-year-old played running back at CMU in 1977 and was a member of the 1974 Division II National Championship team. Risen also has head coaching experience 2007 to 2010 at North Carolina Central of the FCS, where he went 17-26. Scott Loeffler, Virginia Tech offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Loeffler, at age 40, a former Michigan quarterback and quarterbacks coach under Lloyd Carr, is on the rise as an offensive coordinator in addition to quarterback duties, Temple in 2011, Auburn in 2012, and now Virginia Tech. Out of those 6, the best one would be Tony Annese. My best pick would be Tony Annese. Let me get to college basketball in the mitten first. Michigan State plays at Nebraska at 4. Central Michigan hosts Eastern at 4:30. Detroit Mercy just lost at Cleveland State 70-66. Michigan hosts number 6 Wisconsin at 7. Western Michigan hosts Akron, the Zips, at 2. And then Oakland on Monday hosts Cleveland State, the Vikings, at 7. Titans' next game, Detroit Mercy, is against the Wright State Raiders at 7. So that's going to do it for episode 131 of Taylor's Detroit Sports. Thanks for downloading and listening if you did. If you haven't, please do so. All Detroit sports all the time. Taylor Phillips saying TTFN, ta-ta for now. Talk to you later next week.